Oke. Sudah mulai. Masih ada ini on tape.
Tes. Satu.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in wa ala umuri dunya waddin. Assalatu wassalamu ala Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Keluar semua.
Ulangi lagi. Bismillah. Pelan-pelan lagi. Itu sudah mati, kita matikan sudah.
Cek. Ini di laptop nggak dimatiin dulu? Cek. Tes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in wa ala umuri dunya waddin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. The Honorable Rector of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Professor Zainuddin. The Honorable Rector, Yongsan University, Republic of Korea, Professor Bugu. The Honorable Dean and Vice Deans of Sharia Faculty of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. The Honorable Dean of the College of the Creative Human Resource, Professor Indyu Kim. The Honorable Dean of the Department of Law, Professor Yi Kyung-jun. The Honorable Professor of the Global Studies, Professor Kyung Chan Lee. The Honorable Dean of the Office of Global Affairs, Professor Byung Chul Lee. The Honorable Chairs of the Study Program under the Sharia Faculty of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, The honorable speakers, Professor Park Ji-hyun from Yongsan University, Republic of Korea, Professor Dr. Abdurrahman Raden Aji Hakiki from Universitas Islam Sultan Syarif Ali, Brunei Darussalam, and Dr. Ainul Hakim from Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the International Seminar administered by Sharia Faculty of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Wednesday, November 17, 2021. We are very glad to extend the sincerest gratitude and the warmest greeting to all of the audience attending our program, and we wish you gain inspiring ideas from this academic forum. Ladies and gentlemen, to comment the program, we should like to invite you to read the first surah of Al-Quran, seeking for the bliss of Allah toward the success of this forum. Al-Fatiha. The Quran recitation will be delivered by student of Islamic Family Law Study Program of the Sharia Faculty. Please welcome Muhammad Farhan Fatur Rahman.
Tes. Cek, cek. Cek, cek. Cek, cek. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna hadzal Qur'ana yahdi lillati hiya aqwam wa yubashshirul mu'minin المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا. وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا وأعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما صدق الله العلي العظيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Honorable Professor Zainuddin, Director of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Mal Ibrahim Malang. Honorable Professor Bu Guwuk, Director of Yongsan University, Republic of Korea. Honorable, the Vice Rector for Cooperation and International Affairs, Dr. Israkun Neja. Honorable, the invited speakers, Professor Park Ji-yoon from Yongsan University, Republic of Korea, Professor Abdurrahman Raden Aji Haki from University Islam Sultan Sharif Ali, Brunei Darussalam, and Dr. Muhammad Aunul Hakim from UIN Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Respectable Professor In Gyu Kim, Dean of the College of Creative Human Resource. Professor Yu Kyun Jong, Dean of Department of Law. Professor Kyun Chan Lee, Professor of the Global Studies. Professor Byung Chul Lee, Dean of the Office of the Global Affairs. Respectable all Vice Deans of Sharia faculty and the heads of study programs. Respectable all the lecturers and students. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning. It is really great pleasure for us to have this international seminar. We hope that we can get a lot of information from various countries, at least from Korea, Brunei, and Indonesia, about the dynamic of law in Asia during the pandemic era. Of course, we realized that we have to adapt with the new normal situation and revise some regulation for better life. Ladies and gentlemen, the other goal of this event is to bring Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang and Yongsan University together in a strong cooperation to develop the expertise of lecturers, students, and staffs. We know that we cannot improve our university by ourselves, but we have to work together with other universities, especially from different countries, to get international reputation. So we hope the rector of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim and Yongsan University would like to sign the agreement. By this agreement, we may send our students and lecturers to have international experience by learning and doing research at Yongsan University and vice versa. Finally, I would like to extend my thanks to our rector, Professor Zainuddin, and director of Yongsan University, Prof. Bugu Wook, for supporting this seminar. And also, many thanks to all invited speakers for sharing the ideas today. Finally, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The opening speech is to be extended by Rector of Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Zainuddin.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you and God bless us. Honorable Professor Buku Wook, Director of Yongsan University, Republic of Korea. Honorable the invited speakers, Prof. Park Ji-yoon, Yongsan University, Republic of Korea. Honorable Professor In Kyu Kim, Dean of the College of Creative Human Resources. Professor Yi Kyun Chung, Dean of the Department of Law. And Professor Kyung Chan Lee, Professor of the Global Studies. Professor Byung Cho Lee, Dean of the Office of the Global Affairs. Honorable Associate Professor Abdurrahman Raden Haji Haki, University Islam Sultan Syarif Ali, Brunei Darussalam, and Dr. Muhammad Aunul Hakim, Sarjana Agama, MH, Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Respectable the Dean of Sharia Faculty, all Vice Deans, and Head of Study Programs. Respectable all the lectures and students. It is an honor for me to join this international seminar held by the Sharia Faculty, Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, in collaboration with Yongsan University. This collaboration is in line with our tagline to an excellent and international university. Universitas Islam Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, or State Islamic University of Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, is one of the leading campuses in Indonesia that integrates science and Islam. Various programs have been implemented to instill Islamic values in society. Ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, international relationship is urgently required at the moment. We are strengthening international cooperation for our lecturers and students' development. Also, we are in the process of achieving international accreditation. International reputation is one of our goals. Therefore, cooperation with Korea is very urgent. We hope that by collaboration with Yongsan University, we can exchange lecturers, students, and even implement double degree programs. Finally, I would like to thank to Prof. Buku Kwok, Director of Yongsan University, Republic of Korea, for his willingness and support for our cooperation. Also, many thanks go to all distinguished speakers and all of us. Thank you, and let us open this ceremony by recite Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The next opening speech is to be delivered by Director Yongsan University, Republic of Korea. Distinguished guests and participants, please welcome Professor Buku.
Good morning, President Buku of Yongsan University. He is in he has some technical problem right now. He is on a business trip in Seoul, and he is trying to connect this internet, but some problem right now. So please allow me to give a speech on behalf of President Buku. But President Buku is with us. He is listening. He is listening to our speech, our conference right now. Good morning. Selamat pagi. Welcome everyone. I'm very honored by the presence of distinguished guests on this special occasion to witness the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on academic cooperation between UI and Malang, the State Islamic University of Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, and YZU. This milestone marks the joint efforts of the two universities in strengthening cooperation in the fields of academics and culture. At this moment of celebration, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone whose dedication and efforts have contributed to the finalization of this MOU. This MOU commits us to work together more closely towards our common goal. In particular, I would like to thank Professor Dr. H.M. Jainuddin, Rector of UIN, who designate the duty of the university aiming to be the center of the excellence and the center of Islamic civilization. Dr. Sudiman Hassan, Dean of Faculty of Sharia, running Department of Islamic Family Law and Department of Sharia Business Law. And also contact lecturer Yayuk Windri, a good bridge between two universities, who was students of Yongsan University through double degree program between Yongsan University, YZU, and Diponegoro University. With the successful implementation of this MOU, students of both universities will have a profound ground to enjoy the culture and academic products of both countries, Indonesia and Korea. This MOU ceremony also combines with the conference as a sign of academic strength. The theme of this conference is legal dynamics in Asia during the COVID-19 pandemic era. I hope that each presenter's idea will give the audience inspiration for the future policy. I also hope that this conference will give us a good chance to strengthen our collaboration. In closing, I would like to say that I am confident that through our efforts and commitment, we will be able to achieve more and will be able to continue to develop stronger relationships and friendships between the two countries. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to close the ceremony, we would like to invite you to pray together under the lead of Dr. Izzuddin.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Hamdan yafi ni'amahu wa yukafi'u mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karim wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Allahumma alif baina qulubina wa aslih dhata bainina wahdina subulas salam. Allahumma inna nas'aluka minan ni'mati tamamaha wa minal ismati dawamaha wa minar rahmati sumulaha wa minal afiyati khusulaha wa minal aishi arghadahu wa minal umri as'adahu wa minal ihsani amahu. Allahumma kun lana wa la takun alaina ya Allah. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzaban nar. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, finally, from the deepest part of my heart, I apologize for any possible inconveniences that I met while leading this opening ceremony. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are going to proceed into this seminar, and we would kindly invite Mrs. Jamila, PhD, to chair the session.
Okay, shall we start this today's seminar? Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Respectable Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Zainuddin MA, Rector of State Islamic University of Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Respectable Dean, Vice Dean, and Head of Department of Sharia Faculty, State Islamic University of Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Respectable colleagues from Yongsan University, South Korea. This morning we have Professor Bu Gu-wook, Director of the Yongsan University. And we welcome also Professor Bung Hu Lee. Hi, good morning, Professor. Respectable colleagues from University Islam Sultan Syarif Qasim Brunei Darussalam, and the honorable all participants of this virtual seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jamila, the moderator of today's plenary session. I'm pleased to see you all and welcome all of you to this seminar. Today's plenary session is about the legal dynamic in Asia during the COVID-19 pandemic era. As we have been knowing, on Wednesday, March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic as it appended lives around the world and provide people with several effects. The first apparent effects is physical effect, and the second effect is the most challenging and the most essential one. It is challenging because it challenges the rules that govern our social, political, and economic lives. And legal aspect is one among the rules that today's seminar, the topic that we want to address. For that reasons, I would like to invite distinguished speakers from different countries in Asia to share their experiences and insight with regard to the legal dynamics in their local context in South Korea and Brunei Darussalam, including Indonesia. First, I would like to welcome our distinguished speaker, Professor Park Ji-yoon from Yongsan University, Republic of South Korea. Professor Park Ji-yoon, are you already there? Are you with us in the Zoom? Hello, Professor Park Ji-yoon. Are you with us already? I'm afraid that we have.
Yes, now I can open my sound. I was not allowed to open my sound. Thank you, I'm here.
You, Professor.
Professor, I could not hear you quite a while because the sound was off.
Yeah. The technical assistant my voice was muted just now. Let me welcome you again for the second time by saying Annyeong Hasimika, Professor.
Perfect.
And the second one, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Abdurrahman Raden Aji Hakti from Brunei Darussalam or University Islam Sultan Syarif Ali Brunei Darussalam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Profesor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ya.
Selamat pagi, Profesor.
Selamat pagi.
Yeah, I hope we don't have any significant time gap, I hope. So we are in the morning session today.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, I will also invite Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Aunul Hakim from our Sharia faculty. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Professor. Okay. Waalaikumsalam. Okay. He is already with me, so I'm not worried about him. Okay. We are honored to have all of you in this international online seminar, all the distinguished speakers. To address our today's topic, I would like to start to raise an overarching question for all the distinguished speakers by asking, do you see that legal dynamic is on demand in this pandemic context? If yes, to what reasons there should be legal dynamic, and also in what aspects? Because I believe that we have different experiences in our countries. It can be the legal dynamics in the family law. It can be in the aspect of criminal law or public law, or even the constitutional law. So by having all of the distinguished speakers, we expect that we will gain the insight and also experiences in your local context and Indonesian local context, what we are experience during this pandemic era with regard to the legal dynamics. However, before the presentation begins, I would like to inform all the participants how this seminar will be going on. First, the presentation of the invited speakers. Second, the Q&A sessions. Last is the concluding remarks from the presentation or the speakers. Now, allow me to welcome the first invited speaker and distinguished speaker. We will start from South Korea this morning. This is also morning, Professor Park Ji-yoon in South Korea? Or
yes,
is it?
It is.
Oh, okay, okay. So here we are almost 9 o'clock in the morning. So I believe in Korea around 10 or 11.
10:40.
Oh, okay. So we have around an hour gap. First, I would like to invite you, Professor Park Ji-yoon, to share your experiences and insight with regard to our topics today. The floor is yours.
Okay. Then let me share the presentation material. Is it now or shared?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So I think let me make it bigger. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Selamat pagi, everyone.
Selamat pagi, Professor.
Hello. I'm honored to be here again. And actually, I was there in 2019. As you can see, I can see the dean and honorable guests here attending. So I'm really glad to see you all again. I'm honored to be invited by the lecturer, Professor Dr. H. Zainuddin, and Associate Professor Dr. Abdullam Ladin Aji Hakwi. We're so glad to share the experience with you again. And the Dean, Dr. Sudirman, MA, glad to see. And Dr. Zainul Mahmudi, MA, Vice Dean for Academy. And Dr. H.J. Erfani Zurulia, MH, glad to see, Vice Dean for General Administration, Financing, Planning, and Personnel. And Dr. HM Anul Hakim, MH, Vice Dean for Student and Collaboration. and also the head of study program at the Sharia faculty of UIN Maulani Malik Ibrahim Malang. It's a really long name of the university. And also the secretary of the study programs there and lecturers and the moderator also really help. Thanks for the help for doing all this conference opening, and really glad to see our collaboration is heading towards a bigger future. Okay. So the theme here is a legal dynamic in Asia during the COVID-19 pandemic era. Let me start with a little bit of a bit of our university. Thank you. So I will start my presentation, legal dynamic in Asia during the COVID-19 era. And now going to the contents of the presentation. Okay. As you can all see, the vaccine has been all given to the citizen, 78.3%, and the first shot given to the citizen is 81.8%. This statistic is from yesterday, so it could be a little bit more than from yesterday's statistics. And increase of the patient is a little bit worrisome. This statistic also was taken yesterday, and here, as you can see, the province in the upper part is a little bit having lots of number of patients, but the lower part is much smaller. So the pandemic has slowed down a little bit, but still there is a new style of infections, and those things are to be handled. So the boost shot has been given to the people who are older, and because they have given the shots too early, now they have to take a third shot, which is the boost shot, to prevent the infection again. Okay, so the one we are having now, the statistic is all out, and this is a government official site to share all the information about what is going on and what has given to the citizen and how we are going to handle. And the information is very clear and transparent. Why do we have to have a transparent information is that there are so many fake news. So if government does not provide the proper forum for the official information, there are so many different ideas and different talks in YouTube and other places. So to prevent that, this is a very effective and needed platform for them to provide information officially. So here, from November 1st, Korea is gradually returning to the new normal and now living with COVID-19. And the social distancing measure will be reflected in third pages. And so the stricter ones has been gone, and we can meet the people more often, and we can have a gatherings now. And we all, the classes in the university is also open if the students are lower than 30 and less. Okay, so here, Ministry of Foreign Affairs also sharing the information about how the Korea has handled the COVID-19 and current status, and the ROK, which is the Republic of Korea, North Korea, in partnership seminar on this, and these are all open to the public. Having the transparency is the first power for government to handle it clearly. Okay, and after the COVID has broken out, and the reason the Korea had collaborating and also cooperating with the WHO is grounded by the International Health Regulation 2005. As you all can see, IHR 2005 provides an overreaching legal framework that defines countries' rights and obligation in handling public health events and emergencies that have potential to cross borders. So since pandemic, this COVID-19 has broken out throughout the countries, the WHO is now embarked because of the this regulation, and 196 countries are membership of the WHO, this regulation, and Korea is one of them. We follow the guidance from the WHO according to the IHR 2005. And accordingly to Article 21, the Health Assembly shall have authority to adopt a regulation concerning sanitary quarantine requirements and other procedures designed to prevent international spread of disease. According to this Article 21 IHR, the Korea has to follow, and Health Assembly announced it COVID-19 as pandemic, right? We all agree that suddenly WHO had announced it, this is pandemic. And where is this authority coming from? This is authority IHR 2005, Article 21 is giving WHO to announce it. Here, IHR 2005 in determination of the emergency of international concern, the Director General is in charge. So Director General shall determine on the basis of information received whether they will decide whether this is pandemic or just passing by. They will, the Director General will decide. And also, accordingly, Article 15 give foundation to provide temporary recommendation. This temporary recommendation concerns persons, baggage, cargo, containers, conveyance, goods, and postal parcels to prevent and reduce international spread of disease and avoid unnecessary interference with international traffic. So this temporary recommendation was given by the WHO following the guidance of WHO. The Korea has already, which we had act, which is Enforcement Decree of the Infectious Disease Control and Prevention Act. There are more than 20 articles. I only included from Article 220. And this one has to be demanded accordingly because we didn't have this quite a large spread before. We had a SARS and MERS, but then again, we have to fix the remand the law to challenge the new situation. Here, the reason we could have done the interview, examination, and the collection, and this will take up to 10 minutes waiting time, drive-through and drive-through. These are all possible due to the remanded act of it. Otherwise, personal contact by the doctor is unnecessary to get the result official. Otherwise, this examination and collection is not properly processed and not be adopted. With a change of law, it was possible. And also Article 40-3, the pandemic of grade 1 infectious disease led to a significant rise in the prices of medicine and sanitary aids and other products and shortage of their supply. The Minister of Health and Welfare may prohibit exports or removal from the Republic of Korea. So at first incident when the COVID was broken out and everybody was seeking to find the mask. And there was like some factories stacking up the mask, not releasing the mask, and they're willing to release it with expensive price. So the government with Article 40-3, they could have prevented for them to sell it abroad expensive price and also domestically in a expensive price. So the government could have controlled the shortage of the mask with the change of Article 40-3. Whatever the change has made with the article, you can see dash something because we have to change the law in a quite short amount of time. They didn't have much time to remand it, so they just put the dash and then added to the articles already there. And also Article 49-2, if epidemic of respiratory infectious disease spread across country and crisis alert at the caution or higher level is issued, the Minister of Health and Welfare, the head of local government may take further action on behalf of those particularly vulnerable to the infection, such as children. So these providing face masks was also possible with the change of law. I also has given about 20 masks at the beginning, and then gradually every month, my local city, which is Gijanggun, they provide me the face mask every month. So I could have, I should have buy more because I have to change it daily, but still that was a great help for me to not worry about too much about the shortage of the mask. Here, so here there is a question. Should the epidemic of grade 1 infectious disease break out, there's a disease condition. And lawmakers are curious whether the COVID-19 is the epidemic of grade 1. Who said this is grade 1? WHO recommended and given the recommendation, and they announced it. This is not the, but they didn't actually say this is grade 1 at the beginning. But we have changed it, Korea have changed the law to grade 1 infectious disease, presumably from the experience previously we had, this is grade 1. So this was possible with a little bit of assumption that COVID-19 is grade 1 epidemic. So that if law is too strict, we could not have processed the further measures, not considering COVID-19 as a grade 1 infectious disease epidemic. Okay, so this is a little bit of a small thing to consider if you're really strictly interpreting the law. So with the help of the remanded law, we could provide the notice of isolation, quarantine information to the people, and they can have a reason for isolation is also given to the person. If a person received this paper, then person can provide to the company or the workplace for their absence in the workplace, and they will not be charged for not attending the company or the events or those. Okay, so here is also living and treatment center. This is given by the government, and those who had to come from abroad, they have to stay here, and also those who got infected, they have to live here to treat their minor COVID-19. If they have a severe ones, they have to go to hospital. And initially, the government has decided to split the patient with the minor symptom and severe symptoms. So when they have a minor symptoms, they can be in here and be treated with excellent people, and they can be better, and they can go back to their life afterwards, after checking it again. Though. Here, and also for the mask, before we had a really worrisome shortage of a mask, and then the government came up with the idea that the mask will be sold only at the pharmacy. So by deciding that everyone had to line up, everyone was lining up equally to get a mask. And at the point that we have to run to the pharmacy to get it. But fortunately, I never had, I had gone to the pharmacy to get the mask, because my local city has provided me free mask. And also after that, there was a reservation system to get it. And then later, then I can buy it from the internet. All of that was really smooth for me. So this idea of having drive-through, having a living treatment center, and also pharmacy be the center of the distribution was a little bit of a small thing. It could be a little bit of small things, but later on, thinking about it, not panicking is really important. And for citizens not to panic, having a transparent official site and a focal point to distribute the mask, and lining up for the needed supply by the citizen was all orchestrated very well. So here is the New York Times mentioning about how the Korea has handled the shortage, and the panic was not happened due to the quite a good control of it. So here, the reason I'm mentioning this is that right after the breaking out of the COVID pandemic, March 4th, they made the demanded article. And this one later, yeah, you can compare this one. You can see the red one here is August 11, 2020. And then this is the exactly same contents, but it says March 4th, 2020. This is a very behind story and interesting. The reason, if you see it here, -2 means that they added after the pandemic was broken out. And here they added 34-2 and they put some kind of content, right? And what kind of content they had added was that they can control infectious disease, get the disclosure information, but then again, there was a problem of personal information. So what they have to do is they have to add Article 34-2 for objecting it and deleting the information that is not correct. So they added this part, not March 4, actually August 11. But at the same time, you can see, you may not see the difference of the content. If you don't know the behind the story, immediately it is the same. After the problem was noticed about the information, personal information should be deleted when the information is not correct, or the information has to be deleted afterwards, they should be having some kind of ground, right? The government cannot keep our information forever. So Article 34-2 was given here, where any information disclosed under paragraph 1 falls under any of the following sub-paragraphs, the relevant person may file an objection with the Commissioner of Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency in writing, orally, or using information and communication network. So if the information is different here, or the information has to be deleted later on, they have to have some kind of ground for this. Interesting to know, after amending the act, they also remanded right after the act due to the misinformation and some kind of important missing information here. So that is really interesting from the point of lawmakers. Okay, and Article 76-2, the head of local government as well as the Minister of Health and Welfare may request the police to assist with obtaining location information. So Article 76-2 is about the gaining information. How can I get information without breaking the law? Here, the quarantine law also said this amended act intended to ensure a swift response to COVID-19 by allowing the Minister of Health and Welfare to request Minister of Justice to ban or suspend individuals who have stayed and stopped over at the quarantined area from entering the Republic of Korea. So this is a controlling of the immigration matters by collaborating together with the Minister of Justice by obtaining the personal information previously before they taking the airline, right? Right after their arrival, they should go back or they should stay in a certain place. For that, they needed the personal information. And this is epidemiological investigation system. And this is a flow from step 1 to step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, all has to fill the gap by the law to provide this system. Without the legal ground, government cannot act accordingly. So they had made this system, but at the same time, they have a remanded law. With the amended law, Central Disease Control Headquarters had control over the data on confirmed case by checking credit card transactions, travel records, medical records, and underlying disease. If they had previously disease, there's a possibility this person can be serious. So health insurance review and credit card company, telecommunication company, Minister of Justice, all collaboratively work together to control and block the spread of the disease. This is information you have to give when you are attending any of the events or going to the restaurant. There are several kinds. So this is a call, you can just call from your phone and they will collect it from there. And this is also the information you can write above here, but the government also has to provide who is controller and who is a processor. Here, data controller is infectious disease control and prevention purpose, epidemiological survey. Only for this purpose, they can collect the personal information. And who's collecting it is a local government, 금정구 here in this case. And what is being collected is telephone number, visit hour, and your name. And this is something that they are going to collect. And they can only collect and maintain it for 4 weeks, and then they have to delete it. So they have to have a very precise law when to collect, what to collect, why they collect, when to delete. So this is all supported by amended law and the privacy law. And also, this is just a picture of you going to the movie theater or the art museum or the bakery. You all have to write or the QR code in, or you can fill in, or you can call. Those are all supported by the law. Here, another matter is if pandemic situation. Last time we had in SARS, we had MERS. MERS is another disease we had a problem with. At that time, a certain hospital hid the information first. So Medical Service Act was amended to support any kind of report, voluntary report is okay. They have amended Article 47.9. Any medical professional or patient may voluntarily report the occurrence of a medical institution-related infection to the Minister of Health and Welfare. So if anyone voluntarily reporting it, they will not get the penalty, and actually they are helping it. So without this article, nurses and doctors, any of the staffs there will be afraid to report. With this article, it was possible for them to report it without fear. That is really also important for the transparency. So here, with the information and the remanding of the law, the health system all has to be checked again in Korea. And with this, even though the situation is really hard, but they also have to have take advantage of situation. What they have done is here, public information campaign is for the sustaining the situation. Testing policy is to prevent it. Facial covering is to prevent and maintaining, and contact tracing is also the same. But at the same time, emergency investment in healthcare and investment in COVID vaccine has happened. This is a new thing in Korea. So Korea has a lot of biosimilar pharmacies, and they have to use those companies to make a vaccine. So now, eatable pill is out from the Pfizer, right? And also Celltrion, they have, Celltrion is Korean pharmacy, very famous for the biosimilar. And that company is got the approval in Europe for their pills. So even though we had a hard time controlling it, investment in the hospital and the pharmacy is at the same time very important. So we had a double track of controlling it and heading ahead with the pharmacy and the pills. So this is a picture of a test. So they taken a written examination with a social distancing. Wow, this is really a social distancing, isn't it? Yeah. So school was closed, the workplace was closed temporarily, public event was canceled, and gathering size was restricted, and public transportation was closed a bit, and homestay was required. Internal movement was restricted, international travel was definitely blocked. So this containment and closure, social distancing is what, as a citizen, we have to adjust to it, right? And to adjust to it, the government has come up with the economic response, so financial rescue package for business and also for the citizen has come out. So far for the business as well as citizen, we had about 5 packages given by the government beginning at the 2020 to 21. So income support, if I divide it, income support, debt and contract relief for households, and fiscal measures given to the business owner, and giving international support was also given. So February 12th, they announced the first financial stimulus package and then financial support package, and they also had a lower the base interest rate, and then slowly now the interest rate is gone up a little bit due to the problem of a real property, but still the interest rate is not as high as before. So those packages are really useful for those who couldn't work temporarily. And then this financial support was also big help for me. I could have go somewhere and eat something. Otherwise, some people will be just staying and isolated at home. With this kind of package, they have coupons, they have a credit given to you, so they go out and see how things going, and they can eat, and they slowly adjusting to the normal life now. So this financial support has given by the government is a really big one, and tax relief is also was a very detailed, especially here. Landlord who reduce rent fee, especially my dad owned a building, and he had many of the people there couldn't sustain the business. But then again, the restaurant, they have to still stay on business, right? So if the person, such as my father and many other people and landlord who reduce rent fee, they get 50% tax credit. So this 50% tax credit was a really good idea. Thinking about helping each other, and then both were okay, although they both suffered from the COVID-19 situation, right? And also corporate tax was also exempted across all industries except for bars and real estate business. So these are also the package, tax relief and subsidy by the government. Yeah, employment retention subsidy is also necessary thing. Otherwise, if business is too difficult, and business owner may just really let the part-time job go and do the business. Owner control the business place alone. That was also happened, but due to the subsidy, some may have saved. Here is another package by the government. This is a good idea. The Equal Employment Opportunity and Work-Family Balance Assistance Act provided family care vacation and 20 days, single parents 25 days. Non-paying vacation is possible for parents, grandparents, since many schools are closed due to the social distancing measure. I'm not sure whether Indonesia had problem with this, because Indonesia usually have a big family and neighbors are taking care of the kids very well. Here in Korea, many of us are living in an apartment. It's hard to have our kids sending it to other place. When pandemic is going on, the government asked us to distance everyone. So they maybe only the family member can see each other, can take care of kids during the pandemic. So the government pays, and also they can have a vacation 20 days for not going to work and taking care of the kids at home. And especially those who work at home, they can also have a package doubled with school distancing also. School was also possible to give more vacancy time for kids so they can stay at home with their parents. Okay, this is a school distancing. And this one is too complex. I could not make it in English. This is like in what symptom you should not come to the class, and how can you come back. Once actually was about a month ago, the school my kid was attending had a fever, and that turned out to be flu, and about half of the students had the flu. But symptoms are very similar to COVID. So the school let the student go at one time, because mom could not stop sending them to school because they have a work and blah, blah, blah. So send them anyways. And then the school decided to send back the student to home due to the regulation and guidance by the government. And then kids all stayed not going to the school for 10 days. They're very happy. They're very happy. But we had suffered a lot because we have to go back home a little bit early. But these are school distancing. Stage 1, level 1, you can also call it phase 1, tested 2/3 is possible. But for the small schools, they don't have to block students to come. So for small schools, they all had classes without any stopping during the pandemic. Also, in my small town, there's a small school, elementary school. They all had a class throughout the pandemic. Only about 1-2 months they stopped. They had online class at the beginning of the COVID, and then they started back again due to the guidance by the government. Okay, here, with the guidance by the government, digital resilience, and this was really the problem, because once you do the online class, some students had the computer already, but at the beginning of COVID, everybody rushed to buy the computer or the digital gadget. And then the cameras are expensive and computer became a little bit harder to buy. And those are the problem at the time. So the government here in Korea decided to rent the digital machines to the student who does not have like a tab or the computer or the cell phone that is the usable by the Zoom class. So they use the digital resilience concept to support those students. Here, free internet access during the pandemic to low-income children was also support package, and this is a really something that I think is important, because unless the school give you the tab or the computer, but don't have internet access at home, then how can I attend the class? Cannot. So they have given the free internet access connection to them. Also, free internet education site access, which is EBS in Korea, is also given to them. So this is all packaged to support the gap between the rich and non-rich children at home. Where they are hit by the COVID, they need to still sustain the certain level of the education. But then again, new chance is all open. Before, the law limited remote healthcare service is permitted. But here, 2020 December, before 2020 December, remote healthcare service was not allowed in Korea. But then again, with this sandbox regulation lifted, remote healthcare, remote medicine is now really something that we are heading. This is a German case. This is a Germany. They are having the surgery and they are talking each other. Also applying to Korea. This is Dr. Now. More than 50,000 persons are attending, applying for this app. And if you can download it, the doctor you can choose, also the medicine, you can have it delivered. But at the same time, there was some issues concerning the doctor, also the pharmacy, also this company, Dr. Now. And this company is actually established by the 24 years old, very young guy. And he thought maybe during the pandemic, people cannot go to the hospital. Citizens might need help of delivering the medicine. It was not possible before, but it was possible if you're one of the family members go to the doctors and get the medicine instead of the patient. But it was a really strict rule. But during the COVID, the regulation is also lifted. Now new pace and new IT technology can help patients and also the people who cannot go pharmacy or the doctors in certain hour. This is also good for the rural cities because we have too big and too deeper density in city. That's why the spread of COVID is not stopping. There's someone in the book said if you have a density in population in a city, it's hard to control the COVID. So we are thinking about the future virus, then maybe lowering the population density is necessary. Having this app will also increase the population of a rural city. This might be a very good idea. Okay. So here is another one. As you can see, America already had applied this since 1999, and America, UK, Australia, German, and now Korea is heading to the remote healthcare system. For the education, this will be the last part of my presentation regarding the legal support of the legal change, demanding of the change, or was possible due to the legal demand and education. We also had the issue of a cyber university versus research university. We have two kinds of university in terms of remote education. Cyber university was allowed to have 100% class online, but research university was only allowed to have a 20% online class, and 80% has to be offline class that was mandatory. But then again, due to the COVID-19, 100% online class, same as cyber class, this became an issue of the fairness. The cyber university said, it's a research university doing the same thing as us, and why do the student have to pay more? And then again, it was not fair for research university to allow 100% attendance. Then cyber university will lose students over research university. So that was also the issue of it. In Yongsan University, we have a digital resources, very good one. So you can also have IT courses learning computer technology and any of the languages. Not all these languages, but also there are more. As I know, it's 9 languages possible provided for you to learn, including Bahasa Indonesia. And here are public officer tests. You can also have it there. Here for the job search, here job solution for university. This you can have your resume written, and you can all watch how to write resume, how to speak during the interview. These are all created and provided to the students through the online class. But it is not even the class. You can just download it whenever you have time. This is open source for the university students here in Yongsan. So these are all possible online. So we have a new time frame, and with the support, without the remanding of the law, this is all not possible because there is no ground for them, for research university to do the class 100% online, right? So any of the incidences and the pictures that I have shared, they're all remanded, they're all with the remanded laws, okay? Yeah, so then again, legal system changes with need of changes. Complex issues can be solved with the pre and post legislative assessment system. So this is another method of checking whether the amended registration worked very well or not. But for we have institute, they check the legislative assessment system, and this one worked quite well. But then again, the article that I mentioned, they didn't think about when they remanding it, so they have to remand it again right after remanding of the act. So far, for this pre and post legislative assessment system was to check whether that kind of mistake was happened or not. Okay, so this is my presentation for the Korean experience, but still the COVID-19 has not completely away or gone. So we have to careful and still checking the changes of system, also the laws supporting those system change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Park Ji-yoon, for such an informative and inspiring presentations. How the government of South Korea, we can see from the presentation how the government of South Korea legal support in handling the pandemic to protect its citizens' right. By at least, if I count correctly from your presentation, at least 20 articles amended to tackle the pandemic in order the citizen can adapt with the new normal situation as the pandemic is still going on. The very similar experience with Indonesia is on the government new regulations on the teaching and learning process. This is very similar. And the second one is, I should agree with your child that 10 days staying at home is very nice because all the symptoms is diagnosed into the symptoms of the COVID-19. Okay, this is what we learn from the Koreas, how the legal dynamics occur in Korea. Now we should also move to another Asian country from Brunei Darussalam. What kind of lesson learned in terms of legal dynamics from Brunei Darussalam? Therefore, I should invite our second distinguished speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Abdurrahman Raden Aji Haki. Professor, Professor, you are already there. Okay, Professor, the floor is yours. Please share us your insight and experience in your Brunei's context. Please, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Moderator. Distinguished, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Alhamdulillah.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala, amma ba'd. The Honorable Professor Dr. Muhammad Zainuddin MA, Rector of UIN Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Indonesia, Professor Bu Guk, Rector of Yonsei University, Republic of South Korea, Brother Dr. Sudirman Hasan, Dean of Sharia Faculty of UIN Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, and my sisters, the invited speaker, Professor Park Ji-yoon from Yonsei University, Republic of South Korea, and also my brother, Dr. M. Ainul Hakim, SAG MH, UIN Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, the participant of this distinguished international seminar. Thank you for the invitation. And today, as we heard from Professor Park about the experience in Korea relating to the legal dynamic in facing the COVID-19 era, we have experienced the word era itself. It is as a new, because sometimes era is mentioned for the previous time, from the previous time, not nowadays, not today. So today we have also era. Inshallah, we will give some experiences of Brunei Darussalam relating to legal dynamic. So it is also good theme of this seminar, this legal dynamic. Because when we said about the dynamic, it is not about the law. The dynamic, it is about the technique, technology, about engineering, and about the thing. Now we use the word dynamic for what? for law or for legal. It is a good. It is a good team for this. So inshallah, I will speak about this conference in certain. Dr. Moderator, how much I have the time here?
You may have your time, so as you wish.
Oh, subhanallah. So inshallah, I will speak until the evening time, inshallah. Okay, so this is my presentation, legal dynamics in Asia during COVID-19 pandemic era, Brunei experiences. So we will discuss about Brunei Darussalam in facing the pandemic here. It is the international pandemic, global pandemic. Every country in the world, they will have one SOP because based on WHO guideline. All countries in the world, it is following the WHO SOP. So meaning that we will see the familiarity. They will see the same experience and operation relating to the facing of this pandemic in all the countries in this world. So in discussing this one, first we have the outline here, the introduction, a topic outline of my presentation, then legal dynamics. The third one is COVID-19 era in Brunei Darussalam. And number 4, legal dynamics in Brunei Darussalam. And last but not least, but I will be conclude the presentation by a conclusion, inshallah. Okay, before entering the discussion, because it's our discussion about legal dynamic. It's looking to the regulation, looking to the law of the country. Now it is about Brunei Darussalam. Brunei Darussalam has two-part legal system. This is the common law system and the Sharia law system. We have dualistic in Brunei Darussalam. Therefore, we have two courts. Two courts here, Sharia court and also civil court. And all the law in Brunei Darussalam, it has more than 200 law and between act and order. So they are among this law or act are Islamic law, Islamic family law, Islamic evidence law, Islamic criminal law, Sharia order, all this is Islamic law. But in the civil law, we have also based on civil law in English, in England, because we have found it the similarity between India, Malaysia, and Singapore, because Brunei Darussalam is among the Commonwealth countries. So it is the same, not like Indonesia. Indonesia is continental law based on the continental, and continental law based on, as we know from the history, the continental law is from the France, and at the time of Napoleon Bonaparte, and Napoleon Bonaparte took it from Egypt, and based on Maliki's law. So the continental law is based some of the the section and what is the rule in the continental law. There are many similarities with Maliki's law because they took it. Napoleon Bonaparte took it from Egypt, and Egypt at that time was implemented the Maliki's law. So Brunei Darussalam we have to. This is a common law, civil based on English, and Sharia law. But Sharia law in Brunei Darussalam based on Shafi'i's mazhab, as it is mentioned in the Constitution of Brunei Darussalam. Constitution Brunei Darussalam stated that the mazhab used in Brunei Darussalam is mazhab Shafi'i. This is the constitution here. But we will see about the dynamic our legal dynamic in interpreting this this constitutional law, because a constitution, it is the highest constitution in Brunei Darussalam. Then we have act and order under this constitution, and we will see how is the dynamic legal system in according to this law. So we will discuss in Brunei Darussalam. Okay, this is an introduction. So we look to the legal dynamics. What is legal? Yes, legal dynamic. What is the legal dynamic? Okay, every legal system seeks to achieve. Do you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Every legal system seeks to achieve three purposes. So every legal system in any countries in this world, that they seek to achieve three purposes, three objectives. The first one is to secure justice. The second one is to promote the common good, and the third is to provide for certainty of law. So these are the legal system achieve purposes: to secure justice, to promote the common good, and to provide for certainty of law. Now, what is legal dynamics? What is legal dynamics? Legal dynamic is an important aspect of legal reasoning that inspired the area of belief revision. So it is inspired the area of belief revision, legal dynamic. We have the written law, but we do not use this written law in the phenomenological era. We do not use this law in literal meaning, in literal using. So we use this law in the metaphorical meaning or the interpretation of any law. It is meaning inspired the area of belief revision. Legal dynamic inspired area of belief revision in reasoning the law. While formal models of belief revision have been thoroughly examined, the formulation of legal dynamic has been mostly neglected. Yes, we look in any country, in any country, that formal model of legal thoroughly examined, and also the formulation of legal dynamic, but it is neglected. They only follow the the formal models. They only follow the strict law. They should only follow the strict section of the strict article of any law. But regarding the legal dynamic, many of us, we neglect this legal dynamics. But because, as we see, that legal dynamic, it is a new one. Some lawyers and also academicians in law, they have to make a similarity. They have a similarity between legal dynamic and the Newton Newton law. In Newton, it is Newton law. It is about a scientific law, Newton. But now they have to make the analogy between legal dynamic and Newton law. Newton, but it is not our discussion here. It is one lecture. We need a lecture for looking to the meaning legal dynamic and the Newton law. In Islam, we have for this one. In Islam, we have what we said the flexibility. Legal dynamic, as we mentioned, it is a new term in the law. But in Islamic law, the term is very long time ago we use it. we use about the Islamic law, what we call it as the flexibility, murunah. The flexibility of murunah of the law, murunah to Sharia. Murunah, so meaning that the flexibility, we have the literal meaning from the Quran and the Hadith, but we do not use literal meaning, we use the interpretation. Either with dilalatul iqtida, dilalatul Sharia, all the thing. As the Sharia law study in ilmu usul fikih. They study in ilmu usul fikih in the part of dilalatul alfaz. In dilalatul alfaz, they study about the flexibility here. What is this? Understanding. It is dilalatul iqtida, or it is dilalatul nas, or it is the. So we have in Sharia law, it is that the legal dynamic, it is very common. It's very familiar in our discussion. In Sharia student, they are very familiar with legal dynamic relating to Islamic law. Islamic law. So the framework for this flexibility, and change has been predicted and verified in the main sources of Sharia. The primary source of the Islamic law, Quran, is in itself flexible on the basis of the analysis that the Quranic legislation leaves room for flexibility in the evaluation of its injunction. The Quran is not specific on the precise value of its injunction, and it leaves open the possibility that a command in the Quran may sometimes imply in an obligation, a recommendation, or a mere permissibility. So we have here in law, or act in any country, and also order in any country, they have the literal, they have the primary, but we can understand. We can understand the law, depend on the understanding. For example, in the court, it is for best depend on the belief of the judge. So the judge can interpret. The judge can interpret this the law. This judge can interpret this act or order. In Brunei Darussalam, we have three types of regulation. The first one is constitutional law, and the second one is the act. When the regulation passed by the parliament in Brunei, it is called as the act. But when the regulation passed by His Majesty, the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam, it is called as order, emergency order. So emergency order, it is passed by, approved by the Sultan, His Majesty Sultan of Brunei Darussalam. But if it is passed by the parliament, so it called is act. It is the act. Here, the understanding, flexibility to understand this law, so it is called as a legal dynamic, legal dynamic to understanding this Islam. Okay, so we look, this is the Islamic law. Because as you mentioned, Brunei Darussalam has two types of law. It is common law and Islamic law. They are in the same, it is the same level. There is no any superiority. There is no any superiority between common law and Sharia law. They are in the same way in the implementation of law in Brunei Darussalam. Okay, now COVID-19 in Brunei Darussalam. What looking in Brunei after looking to the legal dynamic, we now going to Brunei Darussalam. What is COVID-19? So in Brunei Darussalam, government of Brunei Darussalam on this one previously on October announced 3 phases COVID-19 pandemic exit plan that will finally see Brunei loosen its 18-month travel restriction when 70% of the population is fully vaccinated. It is like Korea, as Prof. Park said, that in Korea, they have 80%, they hit 80%. But as it is mentioned, given the guideline by WHO, it is 70%. And Brunei, if achieve 70% of the population fully vaccinated, so they will have new pace. This is new pace. It is on 19 next week. Oh, not this in this Saturday. In this Saturday, because we have the Saturday. This in 19. It is the end of the pandemic, and then 20 is starting from the 3 phases, 2 to 3 phases. Because during the during the pandemic, during the pandemic, what we done, as it is in other countries, based on WHO SOP, both on the WSOP. So in Brunei Darussalam, at that time, that all the premises, for example, government offices, and also the school, universities, closed. They closed their door. So there was no any activities relating to the government offices and also universities and school. All right, because at that time in the pandemic era, it is all based on the guideline from the government that must be closed. Must be closed. So during this pandemic, we have 3 months. We have 3 months. So we all the government officer, we have what we said, work from home. We work from home. Except the the important person, the important officer, they must go to the offices. But other than that, all the government officer and also the student, they must stay in house. So in this phase, next Saturday, today, for example, Brunei Darussalam opened the application Blue Hat for the attending of Jumat prayer, because during the pandemic the mosque was closed. All mosques were closed among it. But today at 9 o'clock this morning, that they open. Who want to attend the Jumat prayer? It is after today, tomorrow and after tomorrow. They must register. They must register to this application Brunei Health. So starting from 9 o'clock. So they put the registration, which mosque they will attend, and there are many conditions. For example, who want to attend, they must have two fully vaccination, fully vaccinated, and they must also more than 18 years. 18 years. Below 18 years, they could not go. They could not go to the mosque. It is the what is announced by the government. So in new phase 3 phase design, the government office to allow fully vaccinated staff to come to work with ART testing every 2 weeks. Meaning next this Saturday, that government office will be, but to allow the officer who has to fully vaccinated, first dose and second dose. Mosques, suraus, and prayer halls reopen to those fully vaccinated with controlled capacity and physical distancing. Public places, including sport facilities, commercial premises, markets and tamus, and places of worship for other religion will reopen with 50% capacity, and only for those fully vaccinated. Guidelines and SOPs must be observed. So the important here that fully vaccination. Brunei has reached or achieved 70% vaccination. As it is in Korea, Korea is 80%, more than 80%. In Brunei Darussalam, the guideline is 70%. Today, it has received from yesterday, Brunei achieve this 70% for the second dose. Therefore, this Saturday will open all the premises, government or for the private premises, including malls, surau, and also the markets and also mall. They will open this time. Okay. Then also relating to the school and universities, they also will open, but it is partly open. But in our university, UNISA, because this week is revision week, and this week is revision week, and next week start from Monday. It is the final exam weeks. So our student today, it is under revision week. Starting from next week, they will have a final exam period. Final exam, as we studied online, so final exam also will be conducted online. It is also online. It is for next 2 weeks because our final examination period is 2 weeks. Is 2 weeks. So in two weeks, they will have the online final examination period. As also they studied during this semester. They studied the courses through online. Through online. Okay. Now we have the experiences in Brunei Darussalam relating to the legal dynamic. Legal dynamic in Brunei Darussalam. We have here examples. Now we have here give example. We have only 3 examples. Yeah, we have 3 examples relating to the immigration matters. We also relating to the education and relating to the religious matter. So we have here 3 examples. We have 3 examples relating to legal dynamics in Brunei Darussalam. First one, it is the immigration matters. As you know, the implementation of law in Brunei Darussalam relating to immigration, it is based on Immigration Act, Chapter 17, Immigration Regulation, Chapter 17. So these are the regulation. These are the written law. The written law in Brunei Darussalam relating to the immigration matters. So it is very strict. For example, if there is any offense, made by the citizen and also by the people in Brunei Darussalam, so they will be punished. They will be punished either by imprisonment or by compound. All this we have. It is if based on Immigration Act. There is no any excuse. There is no any excuse in implementing this immigration matter. But during this COVID-19, there is the dynamic, legal dynamic. There is the flexibility in implementing this law, in implementing this act. Implementing this act. For example, we have here regarding the visa passes and also work pass, visit and visa pass. Meaning, if a foreigner, they stay in Brunei Darussalam, they must have visa and also either visa coming to Brunei or work pass in Brunei Darussalam. It is the law. A person, they do not have this visa permit, so they will be punished by imprisonment or by compound or by fine. It is the law. But during this pandemic, they have here, because of the closing counter of the immigration, so here that will not be subjected any offenses relating to visa, there's no any that will not be subject to legal action. So it is also legal dynamic. Although the law, the act mentioned that any offense must be punished by the law, but during this COVID-19, it is that no legal action, no legal action, as it is because the counter closing date will not be subject to legal action starting from 19 August, September, November, December, January, February. So 4 months. If any person during this one and they do not have visa, they do not extend their visa, they do not have a work visa, during this one, no action, no legal action against them. And no legal action again, it is the legal dynamic, a legal dynamic relating to the immigration matter. The second example relating to education. The education in Brunei Darussalam, it is based on the law, based on the act in Brunei Darussalam, act relating to the education, and also, for example, act relating to the religion or religious acts study. Because in Brunei Darussalam, every citizen, they must have the religious school. It's from one form, from the year 1 and till year 6. Every Brunei citizen must attend Islamic religious school. The school, it is the other act, and this is the school, it is other act. They must go to government school or private. But relating to Islamic religious school, it is also compulsory. It is also compulsory from year 1 to year 6. If the parent does not send their children to study in Islamic religious school, they will be punished. And they will be, why? Because it is against the law, against the law. So here, during the education, that we can say the COVID-19, it is extraordinary times. During extraordinary time. So the MOE, the Ministry of Education, has put in place a continuity learning plan with focus on online learning. If we look to the law itself, so the student must attend the class, they must go to school, they must meet the teacher, they go to the room, the classes. It is in regular time. It is a compulsory. But now, because of this extraordinary times, COVID-19, so Brunei Darussalam has a focus on online learning. So we have daring, all students, and universities or from the primary or intermediate, they must have the online learning. This will see the transition of students learning from one type of learning to another as their learning context rapidly changes. This continuity of learning plan does not only involve the use of technologies, but will also consider other alternatives which students can leverage on. So it is, we have the law about education law, Education Act, and also Religious Education Law or Religious Education Act. But during this, we have what is learning online. It's also if we follow the law strictly, so it is not allowed to have online learning. Because online learning, it is, for example, I give lectures to my students. We don't know what they do it in their room. We do not. They open the Zoom, for example, then they of the status, and what they heard our lecture or not, we don't know. We don't know this thing. Also, the student, for example, from primary and also the intermediary, we do not know what happened in this. And also in this extraordinary times, we have online learning, and also we have here that the legal dynamics is implemented. So you do not follow the strict regulation in the law, education law or religious school law, but we have another moving. But previously, it is in the law, it is not mentioned about online learning. In law, for example, education law, also religious school law, it is not mentioned about online learning. Online learning is a new one. It is only new one. Maybe next they will amend, and they will amend the law, education or religious education school law. They will amend it, and they will put online learning. Maybe because it is based, it is depend on the parliament to do this. What is that? To do this law. And example number 3 here, it is about the religious and Qadhi. It is relating to Islamic law. It is Islamic law. During pandemic, so any rules relating to Islamic law is not implemented. Especially, for example, they do not go to mosque. They do not go to there is no any lecture. There is no any majlis. There is no any majlis. They do all these things on also online. They do this is on the online. Relating to the legal dynamic in Brunei Darussalam concerning Islamic law, we can find in Religious Council and Qadhi Court, chapter 77. Chapter 77. For example, in making and issuing any ruling in manner in Brunei Darussalam, the first one they must follow. So they must follow the orthodox tenets of the Shafi'i sect, Shafi'i Mazhab. It is the law. So in issuing any ruling, so the legal committee must follow orthodox tenets of the Shafi'i sect or Shafi'i Mazhab. It is the law. But we have legal dynamic here. Legal dynamic, provided that if it is considered that the following of such orthodox tenet will be opposed to the public interest. Oppose the public interest. The strict law, the law set orthodox tenets of Shafi'i. But if this orthodox tenet Shafi'is oppose the public interest, the majlis or the legal community may, unless His Majesty shall otherwise direct, follow the less orthodox tenets of Mazhab sect. So in the first must go to Qaul Mu'tamad of Shafi'i's Mazhab. But if the implementation or the issuing, making the rule based on Qaul Mu'tamad will oppose the public interest, the majlis or legal committee, they may use the Qaul Marjuh of Shafi'i Mazhab. But if Qaul Marjuh Shafi'i Mazhab also, that it will oppose the public interest, so the majlis legal community may, with special sanction of His Majesty, follow the tenets of any of the 3 remaining Mazhab sects. So if also we follow the Marjuh of Mazhab Shafi'i, but it's oppose the public interest, can use 3 other Mazhab, Hanafi, Maliki, and Hanbali. So we can. Although the Constitution mentioned Shafi'i Mazhab, but as a phenomena of legal dynamic, as a flexibility, so we can use this one. It's the 3 remaining Mazhab, Hanafi, Maliki, and Hanbali. The implementation of this one is, for example, relating to the Zakat Fitrah. And Zakat Fitrah, if we are following Mazhab Shafi'i, we cannot give the Zakat Fitrah money, cannot. Because Zakat Fitrah must be in Qutul Balad, and the food of the country, Qutul Balad. Brunei Darussalam Qutul Balad, it is rice. So if we follow the Shafi'is, so we must give the zakat must be in rice manner. But by irshad of the Mufti, we can follow the Hanafis one. Therefore, in Brunei Darussalam, they can give a zakat by money. It is not the Shafi'i. It is type of legal dynamic. It is type of legal dynamic. So these are three examples. If we, for example, looking to this one, in a pandemic, for example, we discuss about the vaccination. Vaccination, what is the rule of vaccination? So the ulama in Brunei Darussalam, they discuss of the rule of vaccination. What is the rule? So they, and in conclusion, they have what is that vaccination is allowed. What is vaccination is allowed. Why? Because of the need of the public interest. But relating to the any other views, it is not followed in Brunei Darussalam. Because Brunei Darussalam, for example, we utilize the kaidah ikhtiyarul hakim yarfa'ul khilaf. Ikhtiyarul hakim yarfa'u al-khilaf. If there are many opinions relating to one issue, for example, this vaccination, so if the government choose one opinion, so the other opinion cannot be applied. Only the opinion which is chosen by the government. So it is in Brunei. This is as a flexibility. It is as a flexibility in the implementation of what is legal dynamic. In conclusion, and it is our result, the legal system is revised by introducing new norms which are not specifically meant to modify previous norms, but which change, in fact, the system because they are incompatible with such existing norm and prevail over them. Nowadays, so the rule and the act, any act, it is same, but it is not incompatible with the existing norm and prevail. Therefore, there is what you said, legal dynamic. There is the what you said, flexibility or muruna or muruna in Islamic law. The new norms prevail. New norm nowadays we have here, and also next year we have a new norms prevail because, for example, have a higher ranking status in hierarchy of the legal sources, or because have been subsequently enacted. This is the new norm. So we have a legal dynamic. We have a flexibility. There is no any problem relating to Islamic law because we are familiar. We are familiar in what is in implementing or muruna. We can apply Sharia student or Sharia ulama. It is very easy. They are familiar and also they can apply what they study, or they can apply Sharia student what they study in ilmu usul fiqh or in maqasidu Sharia or in siyasat. We can use this. Alhamdulillah, Sharia law, for example, Sharia law students, they are very
Okay. I think we have trouble with the connections, but we believe that Professor Abdurrahman is still in the room.
okay. Yes, it is.
Welcome back, Prof.
It's maybe some table. Okay, we discuss about the conclusion. We have discussed conclusion that in conclusion, the legal system is revised by introducing what is that law by introducing. It is maybe you do not heard this one. I will back to the conclusion. That legal system is revised by introducing new norms which are not specifically meant to modify previous norm, but which change in fact the system because they are incompatible with such existing norm and prevail over them. The new norms prefer because, for example, have a higher ranking status in the hierarchy of legal sources or because have been subsequently enacted. Sharia student and also Sharia lecturer, they have no any problem relating to the legal dynamics because they study Islamic usul fikih, they study maqasid Sharia, they study siyasa Sharia. It is all about the legal dynamic in interpreting law from Quran and the Sunnah. So also based on this subject, usul fikih, siyasa Sharia or maqasid Sharia, Sharia student and also Sharia lecturer can understand and can interpret the common law or the civil law as they interpreted Quran and the Hadith. By this, it is and I hope that I can give some highlight of the legal dynamic in Asia facing the COVID-19 in Brunei Darussalam. Thank you very much.
Experience with the legal dynamics in Brunei Darussalam also, since it has two legal system, that the last information or discussion is, I believe that for South Korean a little bit hard to define what we discussed at the last part of the discussion about the Sharia law. But the main point is that from your example, three examples, the legal dynamic of the law, from education, immigration, and how the compatibility between the two legal systems also give us a new experience, how a country with two legal system can mediate the two legal system to handle the new situation. This is not new normal. This is new normal already. Okay, so we have to adapt with the new situation. And from the experience from this Brunei Darussalam, we shall move to Indonesia. We shall see how the Indonesian government can offer the legal dynamics and let the legal dynamic occur in Indonesia. We can hear from one of our distinguished speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Aunul Hakim. We shall listen in a few seconds, but I would like to inform all the participants, if you already had questions, comment, or offering insight, you can drop your question, comment, or insight to the chat room. So you can start now. Later, if you want to raise your hands after the last speaker, I would open the Q&A questions. So, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Ainul Hakim is already with us.
Not as a professor, no.
Okay. Okay, please share us after listening from the two countries. What do you think about the legal dynamic in Indonesia? Is it about immigrations, about how to fulfill the need of the citizens, like in South Korea, building infrastructure? But we have, I believe that vaccination is the similar one from all the experiences we share. Professor, Associate Professor, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for Mrs. Jamila. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah alladzi 'allamal Qur'an 'allamal insana ma lam ya'lam. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana linuril Islam wa arsyadana li tariqil ilmi wal iman. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam tasliman katsira. Honorable Professor Bu Kubuk, the Rector of Yongsan University, Republic of Korea. Honorable speakers, Professor Park Ji-hyun from Yongsan University, Republic of Korea, and Honorable Professor Abdurrahman Raden Aji Haki from University Islam Sultan Sharif Ali, Brunei Darussalam, and respectable Professor Byung Chul Lee, Dean of the Office of the Global Affairs, and so I want to see that to the moderator, Mrs. Jamila. She is a Dutch college graduate from Dutch. And dear lecturers, brothers and sisters, and all seminar participants. First, we are grateful from the Zoom application, because with this Zoom we can meet face to face, even in different places, far away between Indonesia, Korea, and Brunei Darussalam. We are brothers. It was very interesting what two speakers present, Prof. Ji-hyun and Prof. Abdurrahman. And they said about the dynamic of law in Korea and Brunei Darussalam. Here I want to convey Indonesia's experience in dealing with COVID-19. What happened when the law is enforced? Dear my brothers and sisters, COVID-19 is a virus that infects the human respiratory system and has claimed many lives in many countries. The Indonesian government has taken steps to prevent the transmission of this virus in various ways, including by forming a COVID-19 task force, or we say Satuan Gugus Tugas COVID-19, making laws and regulations and taking firm actions against people who violate health protocol regulations. In the process of overcoming the involvement of various parties, various violations of the law took place in various forms. The COVID-19 pandemic is not only related to health facts, it is also related to legal facts. There are two types of legal violations. The violation of the rights of the right citizen during the COVID-19 pandemic to obtain proper health service, discrimination against COVID-19 patients and their families, and stigmatization of the profession in identity. Ladies and gentlemen, some violence of the law at the beginning of the spread of COVID-19, violation of citizen rights, repressive action of state apparatus, in the government efforts to bring order to people who violate the applicable rules, the state apparatus often uses repressive measures. The National Human Rights Commission, Komnas HAM, noted that there were several incidents that could potentially become case of human rights violations during the implementation of large-scale social distances, or PSBB, during the COVID-19 pandemic. The incident was by acts of violence, allegations of criminalizations, until arresting made by members of police. The second is tracking privacy data of patients infected with COVID-19 virus. Tracking the privacy data patient infected with COVID-19 has also been taken by government as an effort to break the increasingly massive spread of the virus. However, using privacy data of patients infected with COVID-19 is also widely considered by public as an act of violating of law. Because these data are very vulnerable to misuse which will lead to discrimination against patients and their families in their living environment. And the third, some hospitals are refusing patients infected with the COVID-19 virus. Several hospitals in Indonesia have refused to accept patients infected with the COVID-19 for various reasons. Some hospitals are reluctant to treat COVID-19 patients because they don't want their make to fall and be avoided by other sick patients. The second about discrimination of COVID-19 patients. The stigmatization of COVID-19 patients and medical personnel is one of the social impact that leads to discrimination. And the first, stigmatization of COVID-19 patient led to mental stress. And the second, stigmatization of people who have symptoms of illness that are not related to the symptom of COVID-19. A social anxiety in the midst of society where the anxiety raises a stigmatization of people who have illness that are not related to the symptom of COVID-19. And the third, rejection of the bodies of victims of COVID-19. In the process of burial, victims of COVID-19 have also experienced discrimination. Rejection of the bodies of COVID-19 victims has occurred in several regions in Indonesia for various reasons. Dear brothers and sisters, for the third is stigmatization of profession and identity. The COVID-19 pandemic had not only caused a health crisis in the community, but has also caused a crisis, of trust in the community. The crisis arose as a result of various negative stigmatizations experienced by communities, ethnicities, and medical personnel related to the COVID-19. The profession as a doctor or nurse gets negative stigma from society, and often occurs in people who work as health workers, such as doctors and nurses. During the COVID pandemic, this profession often get negative stigma by the public, where these professions are suspected of being able to carry and transmit the COVID-19 virus through the handlers and patients they treat. Negative stigma against citizens of Chinese descent. The COVID-19 virus, which was originally detected in China, has had a considerable impact on the image of negative stigmatization for ethnic Chinese because they are considered carriers of the virus. My brothers and sisters, next about the problems in the distance learning process during COVID-19 pandemic, the experience in Indonesia. In the COVID-19 pandemic, the era of learning disruption brings students the various conveniences in learning. They have individualistic tendencies, free spirits, able to multitask, and of course, very familiar with technology. But in practice, during this pandemic period, several problems arise. When learning is carried out by online system. The first is difficulty concentrating. Difficulty concentrating for children. Students have difficulty concentrating on studying from home and complain about the difficulty of assigning questions from the teachers. The second, feeling stress, depression, and boredom for children due to continued isolation. Increased stress and boredom due to continuous isolation has the potential to cause anxiety and depression for children. And it doesn't provide good social and emotional intelligence education. Internet content can make students know everything, but not enough to equip them with social and emotional intelligence. The next about a trial court. The judicial process is a fundamental community need. The court decisions will guarantee to person rights that are violated or taken in everyday life. The problems are preventing witness who hasn't been examined in court from watching the trial online. And the second, in remote proceeding, how to ensure that witnesses are not examined under pressure or under coercion or under threat. And security of electronic network. And the last, the court office is temporarily closed as the city is under lockdown. And the last, closing, this form of violations in handling COVID-19 occurs because of misperception in society that focuses on sufferers and their families as spreaders of the virus. Incomplete information and lax legal rules contribute to creating violations in response to the presence of pandemic in society. Misunderstanding of information make the rights of patients and those who interact directly with suffer neglected. That's all I can say on this forum. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for your presentations and your sharing,
welcome.
Associate Professor Aunuri Hakim, Professor Park Ji-yoon and Professor Abdurrahman. We heard from the last presentation that we add one of the problems during the pandemic in Indonesian's context, which is the stigmatizations of those who work in the medical office or medical places, and also the victims or the affected people from the virus, the COVID-19. So although he doesn't explicitly inform us about the legal effort taken by the government, those are the problems raised by the last speakers, need and legal support that basically already taken by our government during the 2 years experience with the COVID. Okay, we already share our experiences from the two countries, the lesson from taken from the two countries. I would like now to open the session for question and answer. As I have announced before the last presentations that all the participants can drop their question or insight in the room chat. And now I also invite all the participants to raise the question or insight by using the raise hand feature in the Zoom, then unmute your microphone and camera. So please, I welcome all the participants. If you have questions, comments, or even another sharing of experiences, because we can perhaps in very local context, not in Indonesian context. In some areas in Korea, in Brunei, there are some practical issues that need the legal support from the government that we can further discuss. Please, any participants, you can use the Yes, from Brunei also, of course, we invite also the participant from Brunei and South Korea. I saw some colleagues and participants from Korea also. Okay, I saw, yeah, okay, we have one question. For this first session, I would like to have two questions first. Address, please mention your name, institution, or speakers. Do you want to address your questions? Please, Dwi Vidayanti, if I, pronounce correctly your name.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Jamila, for the chance. I have the two questions, but from the question to Ms. Jun Park and also to Mr. Abdurrahman from Brunei. My question is, I want to know how is the Korean government and also in Brunei government's policy toward the COVID-19 pandemic in a business contract. Because here in Indonesia, pandemic COVID-19 is interpreted as a hardship, not a force majeure. As we know that in the National Trade Act, a pandemic COVID-19 is a force majeure. So I want to know how is the policy between in Korea or in Brunei Darussalam to this pandemic COVID-19 and a business contract. Thank you. Maybe it is my question.
Okay, you have only one question, basically. Okay, thank you. If you may know from what institution are you, Fida?
I'm from UIN Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Indonesia.
Okay. She is our colleague. Okay.
Yes.
Professor Abdurrahman and Professor Park Ji-yoon, shall we address directly one question or we collect all the questions first? Which one do you prefer?
It's up to you, moderator.
Okay. Okay. So we will have the second question first, and then we will wrap up all the questions. Okay, anyone from the participants from Brunei, from Korea, and in Indonesia?
Professor Lee from South Korea. Can you hear me?
Okay, Professor Kung Yu Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Please.
Okay. Indeed, almost every country and people around the world with the developed, underdeveloped, or emerging economies affected by the pandemic. Here in Korea, we are also experiencing a lot of new changes ranging from economic recessions, social disturbances, health problems, and so on and so forth. And various efforts to adapt to these new situations, including measures to prepare ourselves to the advent of a new economic system, the so-called new normal era are undergoing. Likewise, Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam, and others are also experiencing similar difficulties. However, it seems to me that the responses in terms of policy measures and the effectiveness of those policies vary among different countries. For example, I'm a political scientist. My major area is Malaysian politics. So looking at Malaysian case, it is very interesting to see that in the case of Malaysia, unlike its neighboring countries, the impact of COVID-19 is leading to political upheaval. And many people are paying attention to how this will develop in the future. Now, my question is, how do you evaluate efficiency or effectiveness of the government's legal policy measures to tackle the pandemic in Indonesia? My question goes to the Indonesian participants.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Kyung Chan Lee, if I'm not mistaken, mispronounce your name. Okay.
Itu nama saya.
Oh, okay. Nice to hear that you speak Indonesian.
Sedikit bisa.
Okay. Okay, this is nice signal for us to have the cooperation in the future. Okay, we have two questions from FIDA and also Professor Kyung Chan Lee. The first question is about what are the legal support taken from by the government in regard to the business contract, because as we know, economic collapse during the pandemic and the policymakers was busy handling the victims, but the essential one is the economic should also need the concern also, and all the three three invited speakers, would you like to respond all the first question, and then we move to the second question. The insight, Professor Kyung Chan Lee, citing the Malaysian case. This is also a very nice question, because do you think this is effective, all the legal effort taken by the government, especially in Indonesia? So not only from the speaker, Professor Kyung Chan Lee maybe will respond, even our colleague from Indonesia also, and FIDA also. Is it very effective? Do you think it is effective, all the effort taken from the government? If it is not effective yet, why? Okay, I would like to invite Professor Park Hyojin first to respond the first question in the context of Korea. What is the government did for the business contract? Please, Professor.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for the nice question. Of course, the business owners and also the part-time workers are all affected by the pandemic, and we had suffered a lot during the pandemic 2 years. Not a single person in Korea had gone through without pain in mind, with sharing the same feeling with friends and who got infected, also who are healthy still, but suffering from the business loss. For the government to tackle this problem, they had taken various measures to support the business. As I mentioned before, they had provided subsidy as well as the tax relief and support for the citizen to spend the money to them. But as for the contract matters, it is totally different matters. From approaching the canceling and withdrawing the contract is a really big matter for the contract owner, also the person wishes to have a contract. But at the same time, Minister of Education, they announced this COVID-19 as a natural disaster. That is why they could have applied the 100% attendance as accepted a part of a class participation. So it is a similar approach taken by the government. That first approach was that let them not to withdraw from the contract by supporting them. But second, even if they have to withdraw from the contract, if they agree to withdraw from the contract, if it is a bilateral agreement, they said it is okay because bilaterally they agreed upon it. But secondly, one party is forced to close down the business, and government has approached it with it. There's a reason to consider this as a natural disaster. So when they sue somebody who withdraw from the contract, they can have some defense on the natural disaster. They usually include the force majeure clause in the contract, usually. So since the ministry have announced it a natural disaster, it could be the possible defense for them to get away from the withdrawing from the contract. It is an ongoing process, but still that is possible defense. That is my answer. Thank you for the nice question.
Very brief answer. I will wrap up later. And then we move to Professor Abdurrahman. Do you have any information about this, Professor?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jamila. Regarding the force majeure, it is in the first phase last year. It is last year in the first phase of COVID-19 that the government of Brunei Darussalam has stimulation phase. That is stimulation for the business contract. So it is from the last year. But now it is the second phase, starting from August. Maybe the stimulated phase is still implemented. For example, as it is mentioned by Korean Prof. Park, that there is the what we so-called is bilateral. If there is bilateral between the contractors among them, it is acceptable. But for example, it is not one of them refuse. But Brunei Darussalam, they do not announce relating to the national disaster. They do not announce national disaster, but they only relating to the how to face this COVID-19 with a special reference to the WHO SOP. So it is only as it is as a normal, as it is a normal. Therefore, for example, any dispute in contract or any dispute in business, for example, it is still what is done as it is as a normal. But relating to the what is done the problem which arose from this contract, the government Brunei Darussalam also give the easiness to the parties, because as you know, in Islamic law we have what we call is fanaziratun ila maisarah. Fa in kana zu usratin fanaziratun ila maisarah. Naziratun ila maisarah, it is implemented. For example, if there is the difficulty, so looking to the easiness, looking to the easiness of the. It is for example in Brunei Darussalam, as a brother, the Brunei citizen and also Brunei national in Brunei, they are brothers. They look to this is the easiness. Fanaziratun ila maisara. We can make this is any business dispute or any contract dispute can look into this. But the government, they effort to to ease or to support and to help the citizen. Okay, there is one question, Miss Jamila. It is from other reason. I answer this one from the chatting room.
Okay, I will bring out the next question later. Is it okay, Professor? Okay. After we address the question from Professor Kyung Chan Lee. Okay, we will keep it later. Okay, thank you, Fida. I think from the Professor Park Eugene and also Professor Abdurrahman, there are two very essential points. The legal support claim or declare that the COVID-19 pandemic is the natural disaster. It brings consequences to the contract or the business or the economic. Ensure that any violations to the contract reinterpreted and should not any acts legal acts to to tackle the business contract. So due to the legal support or the government's decision that any cases or any effect due to the COVID-19 will be reinterpreted and will be reconsidered about the legitimacy or any legal acts. So this is very nice. Also, we hear from the Korea and also Brunei Darussalam, and also the local norm that you mentioned. We are brothers, so let's reconcile any dispute with the in the harmonic ways. So this is very interesting. Also, apart from the legal support from the government. Now we move to very interesting and very tricky also the question, Professor Kyung Chan Lee, because the effectiveness of the policy making after 2 years experience of the COVID-19, any legal support taken, any legal effort taken, do you think, Professor Dr. Aunul, is it effective enough or has been effective, or you think you have another consideration to see this? Okay, please.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Jamila. Thank you for the question from Professor Kyung Chan Lee. I can say that the regulations made by the Indonesian government are very dynamic. When the legal policy of the first regulation couldn't stop the spread of the virus, the sanction for the next regulation were confirmed, so that we can say that until now, the spread of the virus has decreased. Recently, the spread of the virus mostly occur on the island of Java and Bali. And now almost all areas in Indonesia are good. The success of the Indonesian government. So I think the legal policy in Indonesian government success. I think that is what can I answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Okay, I can see from your expression from Kyung Chan Lee, this is very hard to see, is it effective enough or not, since the COVID-19 is still going on. But at least this is very interesting also if we can hear from the two other countries. But let's move to the waiting question in the chat room. Could you please, the house, would you like to? Okay. Okay, this question is addressed specifically to Professor Abdurrahman Haki, but if it is possible, two other speakers will address also. The question is, dear Professor Abdurrahman Haki, in Qaidah Ikhtiyarul Hakim Yarfa'ul Khilaf, this is very Arabic term. I hope everyone can keep it first. How does the Brunei government ensure that the opinion chosen is the right one? Who is involved in the selection of opinions? Is it individuals or involved academics or students or certain bodies? This is the way the legal system, the Sharia legal system, how to design, making a decision. And in a decision making, who are involved in decision making? This is actually the question of the. I'm not sure the name of the participant who raised the question, but the important point is the response from the Professor Abdurrahman. Please, time is yours, Professor Abdurrahman. Are you with us? Okay.
Thank you very much for the question here. It is relating to the Islamic legal maxim. Islamic legal maxim, we say that Ikhtiyarul Hakim Yarfa'u al-Khilaf. They choose by the government that will arise the different opinion among the ulama. It is very famous maxim in Islamic law. In Brunei Darussalam, as you know, or maybe you studied Brunei Darussalam, relating to the religious matter, the Sultan, His Majesty Sultan himself, he has the leader, the chairman of Islamic religious matter in Brunei Darussalam. So based on as I mentioned in the presentation, there is an act. It is about the religious, religious court and Code Court, religious matter and Code Court, number 77, and all the matter here in Brunei Darussalam based on this act, and this act give the authority to the Mufti, to the government, and the government will pass to the Mufti if any religious matter arose in Brunei Darussalam, so it will be passed to the Mufti, just to the Mufti. So here the Mufti, as I mentioned in section 43, 42, and 45 of the Act, it is how government tackles the issue of Islamic law. So here, when the government choose, so the government first will ask the Mufti, and the Mufti by his office, they will start relating to any issue, and they will choose something. For example, here relating to vaccine. Vaccine, it is the new one. Very soon, at the time of Prophet, for example, there is no any vaccine. So they go to the Mufti, and the Mufti they're looking to certain opinions, certain views of ulama relating to. Then Mufti look to that the suitable one for Brunei Darussalam, that vaccine is allowed. The vaccine is so by this choose by Mufti, government take this view of the Mufti and will be passed and gazetted by the government, and all Bruneian people will follow this this rule. So here that the choosing here is from the Mufti office, because in Brunei Darussalam it is an offense. It is an offense that a person, it is not authorized by the government to issue any fatwa, any fatwa. The fatwa only for Mufti, and the fatwa is only for Mufti, and the government will choose this from the Mufti side. So as you mentioned, it is because in Brunei Darussalam it is very systematic, So in Brunei Darussalam there is no any, for example, organization. There is no any what is people organized, for example. No, it is in Brunei Darussalam only one opinion, only one opinion. Alhamdulillah. So therefore we do not have any dispute opinion in Brunei Brunei Darussalam because of this rule and because of the law. Who is involved in the selection of opinion, as mentioned? All this is on the fatwa, on the fatwa institution in Brunei Darussalam. And also they have what's called as Majlis Ugama Islam Brunei Darussalam. Majlis Ugama Islam Brunei Darussalam, head by the Minister of Religion in Brunei Darussalam. They are the composition of the membership. It is by the government. They also involved in this selection the ulama of Brunei Darussalam. They graduated from Al Azhar or any Islamic universities in the world. So they have this discussion among themselves. They can advise among themselves. So they choose any view. Is it individual or academic or student or no? As mentioned, it is what the government said, and then also the choice of the the selection. This is based on His Majesty's wish and His Majesty. It is the membership of this Majlis Ugama Islam Brunei Darussalam. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor. So there is no dispute from the decision making of the law. Although any layers, like, is it the case similar with the case of Egypt, the position of the Mufti in Brunei Darussalam? Because the fatwa is coming only from the Mufti. Can you explain to our colleague from Korea what is Mufti in your context? Professor Abdul Rahman?
Okay. If it is in Korea, I think we do not have what it means, because Korea, it is only this is national. There is not any religiosity in there. But the meaning of Mufti here, Mufti or fatwa, it is legal verdict. Legal verdict made by by the authoritative bodies. Authoritative body. For example, any religious matter, for example, we don't know in Korea, they have a religious matter or no, we don't know. But in Brunei Darussalam, any religious matter, it will go to Mufti. They also to the Majlis Ugama Islam Brunei Darussalam. After that, they spread the opinion of this. Okay? Because
Okay.
they are in.
Okay,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you, Prof. Okay, I hope you can catch the point that the Mufti is the authoritative party or body who can make a decision only for the religious matters in the context of Brunei Darussalam. In Indonesia, we have specific bodies. Okay, I have a questions sent to my personal chat room. The question for all the invited speakers, especially for Brunei and Korea, about the baby's right during the pandemic, because all the government attention to the people affected, for elderly people or the young people, but not the babies we are talking about during these 2 hours. So do you have any cases? How is the right of the babies protected? For example, when the mother is affected by the COVID, or the father, or even the member of the family, who is taking care of the babies? This is very practical questions. Okay, we start from Korea first.
Yes, we had a case of also the elderly people suffered from the infection, and there was a famous picture in Korea. The nurse was playing a traditional Korean game with the elderly because she didn't have anybody to talk to. Only nurse can access to her. So the nurse was playing the traditional game with the older elderly. Although nurse was fully equipped with the gloves and everything, it's hard to play and even hard to breathe, but she was playing it. For the baby, we also had cases. We have a children's hospital also, and there is a general hospital, and cases of the babies get infection. One of the parents can have a stay with the baby. So mother can take care of the baby. Although she or he can be afraid of the infection, they can stay together and they have a family room. So and another case is babies or who are infected stayed together, and that became an issue. So they had to stay in a separate room with the mother, their own different family members in separate room, so they can have it cured. Yeah. So Children's Hospital are also taking care of their special matters.
Okay, is it included in your 20 articles that you mentioned, amended articles?
That is a self-quarantine act covers it, but it didn't amend it because usually when they have a problem, they have a choice of a separate family room.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So there is an effort to take care of the babies. Okay.
Yeah.
From Brunei, what is your experience in dealing with this case, Professor?
Okay, thank you very much. Baby in Brunei Darussalam is very fertile. They are very lucky in Brunei Darussalam because the government, all relating to the baby, for example, until 2 years, they have a free of the pampers, free of milk, free of drink, free government hospital, all this. It is up to 7 years and also to 12 years. And also there are no matter it is citizen or not citizen. And also free hospital tuition or free hospital payment. This is for relating to baby. It is a case, for example, in Brunei Darussalam relating to this one. It is looking by SOP, but we did not know about the baby case relating to the COVID here, relating to the COVID-19. So in general, that the government will do the best effort to make secure this baby relating to any matter, either to his or her parent or any other person. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor. And now we want to hear from Indonesian's context. How about the case of taking care of the baby during the pandemic? If the baby is infected or the baby is baby's families are affected. Professor Auno, would you like to share your experience or insight about this?
Okay, the question about how to prevent the babies from the COVID-19. In Indonesia, there are many regulations also to prevent the baby from the suspected of the COVID-19. And we thanks that from the government that until now, we very little babies that infected from COVID-19. Until now, we don't hear just 1 or 2 babies infected from COVID-19. I think the government very strong to prevent babies from the COVID-19. I think that's.
Okay, from the 3 countries, the government also concerned about the baby situations during the pandemic, whether the baby suffer from the virus or the families of the baby are affected from the viruses. There is another interesting question addressed to all the 3 speakers. How is the new regulation or legal effort taken by the government with regard to the spreading the hoax about the COVID, or even the government effort taking care about the COVID? Is there any regulations about taking care, handling or preventing the spreading the hoax about the COVID. We would like to start from the Brunei cases. Professor Abdurrahman, we come to you again.
Relating to the hoax information in Brunei Darussalam, it is very strict. There is no any hoax here. In Brunei Darussalam, if there is a hoax, the police, the enforcement here in Brunei Darussalam directly will look to the sources of this hoax. Then they will implement the rule relating to the hoax information. It's very strict in Brunei Darussalam. Therefore, any hoax or any misleading information in Brunei Darussalam, they will go to what is said relating to the this law. For example, they will be imprisoned or they will be fined because of the spreading of the misleading information. So for example, we have here in WhatsApp. WhatsApp, this is misleading. There is the what is hoax information. So then after the spreading of this information, the government will take what is an action. It is who spread this one, who spread this hoax or the misleading information, and they will take. And then the government police here, for example, will will announce who was the, for example here, who was the person who make this one, and they will take action on this. Alhamdulillah. Any, for example, any hoax or this one, the government will give the answer. They will give the answer to the people. It's for example, there is the hoax. So then next 2 days or next 3 days, then the government said that this information was hoax. This information is misleading information. It is not correct. So the people must not believe to this hoax information. This is what we Brunei Darussalam. Thank you.
Okay, Professor, may I clarify this issue? Is it a new regulation regarding the handling the spreading hoax, or is it just a new coming regulation due to the pandemic?
Oh, no, miss.
Okay.
It is from the previous. It is not only this pandemic. It is the law enforced in Brunei Darussalam.
Okay, don't ever spread the hoax or misleading information in Brunei. Otherwise, you sent to the jail. Professor, okay. Let's go to the Korea. What's Korea? Any regulation about this, Professor Park Ji-yoon?
Okay, so when we approach a certain information or the speech given by the person, we don't think it is hoax at first. And whatever the person says it, they base their speech based on the freedom of speech. So freedom of speech goes first. And then if there is definitely that is hoax, then there is a way to control them. There are 4 things actually to consider to be reviewed. The speech given by the person will be reviewed if another person claims it is to be the hoax or the defamatory things. The first thing is it is not true, and that should make people defamed. So if it is defamatory statement, that will review. And COVID should be related to the defamatory statement saying that person has a COVID and blah, 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 that will spread around the world, our business will close down. That kind of statement will be reviewed first. And secondly, if someone says it relating to the certain nation or race about the COVID, and that statement will be reviewed also. But until that the statement will be reviewed, that person should not be punished only because that person has said it. So certainly the third one is if the person make a statement relating to the COVID with a harsh language that is not proper to the occasion, that is also considered a reviewable statement. And fourth one is if the statement will make a society confused, then within that four categories, and that statement was made through the computer or the cell phone, so electronically transferred statement will be reviewed, and then if it is considered to be the punishable statement, then they will take control of it. There was a case that in a certain area, that statement was controlled and reviewed and in the police station. But until then, until four categories of statement were reviewed, freedom of speech continues.
Okay, thank you. Basically, Korean people have the freedom of speech, but otherwise it is under control also. Because I saw also in the one of the article you mentioned, I meant that article, even the citizen can raise their objection if they consider the government statement or the fact it doesn't meet is that they consider invalid, so they can raise their objection. So it also a signal that the freedom of speech, you cannot also spread the hoax also, otherwise you you send to a place that you will not ever want to go. Okay, in Indonesian case, Professor Aunul, do you think hoax is also controlled by the government, especially during the pandemic era?
Okay, thank you. About the hoax, I think Indonesia has many regulations about that to control the spread of hoax. Hoax spreaders will be subject to the criminal code, law number 11 of 28, concerning information electronic transaction, law, and also law number 40 of 28 concerning the elimination of racial and ethnic discrimination, as well as actions when hate speech has caused social conflict. For example, the hoax in violation is in Article 28, paragraph 2, which read, every person intentionally and without rights disseminates information intended to cause hatred or hostility to certain individuals and or community groups based on ethnicity, religion, race, and intergroup. I think Indonesia has many regulations to control about the hoax spreads.
Okay, Professor Aunul, we have had that regulation before the pandemic era, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we already have that kind of regulation controlling the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And anticipating the spreading of the hoax. Okay, we have similar experience among the three countries. And now I have very interesting question also from Professor Kung Chan Lee. Are you still with us? This is very challenging question from Professor Kung Chan Lee. Although it is addressed to Indonesian speaker, but I think this is also nice if we hear also from the Brunei later on. But this is the question from Professor Kung Chan Lee, Professor Aunul. Considering that Indonesia is Islamic country, halal should be a factor to be considered in combating COVID-19. I think, as Professor Kung Chan Lee said. His question is, is there any specific procedures to apply halal regulations with regard to the vaccinations? Is that any specific regulation, Professor Aun?
Right.
Yes, please.
Okay, Indonesia has regulation of halal thing.
Yeah.
Okay, there are the institution that how to control about the halal regulation. We say apa namanya? BPOM ya, Badan Pengawas Obat dan Makanan. This is I think to control about the distribution to the consumer about the foods. The Islamic law has implemented it in the Indonesian regulation, I think.
Okay. Okay, we have an authoritative body who can consider validate or issued the whether food or a medicine is allowed to consume by the Indonesian citizen, including the halal aspect of the food. Vaccination in Indonesia also one of the controversial issues in the beginning of the COVID-19, but later on with the legal effort taken by the government and then the authorization from the body that Professor Aun mentioned, so the vaccination now is not a controversial issue, but it is like a need because it is also a requirement for traveling. So just like in Korea and also in Brunei. So you cannot go to anywhere in Indonesia if you are not vaccinated yet. So also we cannot go to Korea to sign our cooperation document if you are not vaccinated yet. This is the response from Professor Aun. Okay, last questions. I hope the speaker still willing to stay with us and also the participants. The last question is that COVID-19 bring us mental depression for everyone. Is there any regulations or policy provide this mentally illness people due to the COVID, the facilities and the way to handle this kind of people depressed from the effect of the COVID-19. We want to learn first from the Korean cases. Professor Park, please.
Yeah. So for if the definition of a mentally depressed people, a patient, then they already have a prescription and they already covered by the doctor's guidance. For those who newly developed a little bit of a feeling of a depressed, but due to the COVID, the government has supported with the government facility, health center that controls COVID also opened and expanded mental health with the reason of COVID. And Yongsan University also had the chance to invite them to come to the campus and have a counseling for the all Korean language student. So they came to the campus and they had a little bit of a discussion, and also they checked their health, like heart, blood, and also the pressure, and they all checked the biological symptoms and also the mental counseling. Both has been taken by the government, and if you file an application, they will come to you. If it is a group or if you need help, you can also go to the center to get counseling. And also there is a online counseling open. Chatbot is open also.
Okay. Yes, it is unavoidable, right? To take care of this kind of people. Okay, so Korean has this the regulations handle it. Okay, in Brunei, do you have any similar experience, Professor Abdurrahman?
Yes, in Brunei Darussalam, relating to this, mental, we look first to, for example, in Blue Hat, this is the application relating to this, this issue, Brunei Health application. So the first, for example, is maybe in Blue Hat, you will be asked about the symptom relating to the issue. If no symptom, it is okay. If there is symptom, so they will help. It is not for the mental. It is about the physical disease. But regarding the mental, it is based on what Brunei Darussalam done. Is looking to the the regulation and also the act. Regulation and also the act. Therefore, in Brunei Darussalam, they have, for example, counseling unit. Counseling unit in Ministry of Ministry of what the sport and all the thing. They had the JAPIM, the Jabatan regarding the social effect. So they will look to this counseling. So the counseling they will go first. Also in every hospital, they have also the counseling unit. The counseling unit will ask, what is your problem? What is it is mental? What can do to the COVID or not? It is very systematic, and they will have all the thing. So every the counseling unit to know relating to the mental. But for example, special law or special act for mental health in not yet regulated in Brunei Darussalam. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. So there is a counselor facilities in dealing with the mental effect from due to the COVID-19 in Indonesia. We move to Professor Aun, as he said that mentioned earlier by Professor Aun that in Indonesia we also experience the stigmatizations. The death body of the affected several people, and also the family of the dead body of the COVID-19 due to the COVID-19, and all people affected by the COVID-19 are stigmatized. No one wants to have a close contact even after he is or she is recovered. Do you have any information about the regulation to handle this kind of people who experience mental depression due to the COVID, Professor?
Okay, I think we find the many facilities from these problems in the especially in Jakarta and large cities. There are many facilities. Okay.
Okay, there are facilities.
Yeah.
The psychologists, the
Yeah.
psychiatrists are sent to the people,
Okay.
and now the stigmatization decreasing, Professor, as all people experience almost 1,000 people affected, and then they start sharing the same experience with the COVID, and the stigmatization is decreasing time by time, but it's still there. But yeah, experience, yes, not really apparent for this time. I want to close the session, but we have one more very important question also. The participants do not want to close the session. I have very hard situation now. Okay. A question to Professor Park. As we know that in Korea, currently there are minimal cases of the coronaviruses. Okay. As we know that in Korea, currently there are minimal cases of the coronavirus. But when this pandemic spread in Korea, for the early pandemic, maybe there is any places which are difficult to reach by the government for evaluation. If there is, how Korean governments deal with this issue? Please, Professor Park.
Yeah. So the question is, at the beginning of the COVID-19, government could not control the increase of the COVID patient. So what if that is the case, and how they come to the controlling of the situation? Is that the question?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So when we had the first case of the patient coming from China, and then suddenly the spread started, and noticing we had the experience of MERS from previously in Seoul region, and so the government made a center which was not independent, the center for them to control the disease. And then they separate them, and then this head of the disease control center started counting the number of beds in hospital. And after counting the bed in hospital, they start remanding the laws to center will be the hospital. So all the doctors and nurses will be the controlling head of the disease. At the same time, to support their action, they demanded the law. Also, the spread has to be controlled, so they opened up the platform to give transparent information to the citizen at all time, and started sending messages for alert. That was the first adjustment to the government system. You get all the alerts from the government minute by minute. So you know where the patient is, where they have been. So the people don't go there. And by doing that, the government could have controlled the size of the not controllable patient. So this counting of the bed, the idea matching, and also the remanding of the law and the alert system made a very good harmonized system to give open information to the citizen. That made citizen to act, and citizen to stay at home, citizen to wear the mask. That was a key factor for Korea to control the COVID symptom at that time. I think that was the best response to the expansion of the COVID.
Yeah, Professor Park, is up until now, is there any areas or provinces, or I have no good ideas about the geography of the Korea, provinces or districts the government cannot reach for the
I see.
disparities?
So the question include those areas government cannot reach.
Yeah.
Okay. So Korea already have many rural cities. Not only 5 major cities. Korea has many rural cities, but rural cities have all small healthcare center. And because of the healthcare center is or centers of the information and any of the healthcare methods given to the citizen, so they control them. So there is no, I don't think any city without the healthcare, because I also stay in a Gangwon province, which only have like 10 neighbors around my house there in Gangwon province, and they also have a healthcare center, very nice one, and I can get it for free. All the medicines are free for me, so or access to them. Yeah, I don't think there's a vacancy, as I know. There could be, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they could be, but as long as we heard that all the areas are already accessible for the government, right? In the Korea.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Park. The question for the Professor Park is the last questions. Before we come to the end of the session, I would like to invite all the three distinguished speakers to give the closing remark or the brief summary of his or her presentations. I would like to start from Indonesia first. Okay, Professor Aunul, would you like to give your closing remark? Okay.
Okay, thank you for Mrs. Jamila. For the closing remark, I want to say I am very happy to get to know many scholars, many professors through this Zoom. Hopefully, the cooperation between Indonesia, Korea, and Brunei can continue to be established and benefit from the cooperation that we will continue to establish. The condition of the spread of the virus has now decreased. Hopefully, in the next, COVID-19 can disappear from our earth, and we always in good health, and we can visit each other and meet in your country or in my country. Thank you for the participating. Sorry if there are mistakes from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you for the closing remarks from our third speaker from Indonesia. I would like to go to Professor Abdurrahman Haki to say to wrap up his presentations and give us closing remark. Please, Professor Abdurrahman.
Okay, thank you, Jamila. COVID-19, it is real. It is not hallucination. It is not hoax. It is real that all people in this world face this type of disease. It is no matter. You cannot say anything. It is real. It is as a pandemic. It is as a, so we believe. Now, how to face this one? How to face this pandemic? So we use SOP, Standard Operation Procedure, as it is mentioned by any authorities. So it is better to follow this thing. And relating to legal dynamic for facing this one, all countries in this they have legal dynamic. They have their own policy. They have their own regulation to face this thing. But as a citizen, so we must follow what the government made for us. This is for the betterment of the life in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice closing remark, Professor Abdurrahman. Now we move to the last closing remark from Professor Park Ji-yoon. Please, Professor.
Yes, thank you again for the warm invitation, and all the renowned professors and moderators also included. Really feels home and friendly. It seems like I'm talking to my friend and sharing information in each country. And the legal dynamics in Asia during the COVID-19 pandemic era is really important because we are talking about the disparity caused by the COVID-19. We are talking about the justice and fairness to the citizen who could not have all the needed the products and help. So by holding this conference, sharing the information, I hope we all share information to help those needed. And through discussion, we have covered many things, including babies and also the business contract. Those are concerns of everyone. And disparity caused by the COVID-19 should be back to normal. And I hope this discussion will give help to those putting into the policy back to the normal, not despaired, and having the equal life and equal opportunity to all of them during my presentation, if I had made a mistake, please forgive me. And Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We already heard welcoming, I'm sorry, closing remark from 3 distinguished speakers today. But as the host of the today's seminars, I would like to invite the Dean of our faculty to say thank you for all the invited speakers and the participants, because before I come to real end of the session. Please, Professor Sudirman Hassans.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Jamila. So the distinguished guests and distinguished speakers, Prof. G, and also Prof. Abdurrahman Raden Aji Haki, and also Professor Aunul Hakim. So we are the host of this seminar. We are very happy, very lucky to have you, 3 of you, and very fruitful discussion today. And hopefully we can invite you again for next seminar, and especially for Professor Byung-Chul Lee. Thank you very much for your attendance in this seminar as well. And we hope we can continue for discussion to bridge between 2 countries and 2 university for implementing our MOU. And we apologize perhaps for technical mistakes during this seminar. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, our Dean, Professor Dr. Sudirman. I'm sorry, I unmute myself. I muted myself. Okay, thank you for the appreciation for our speaker from our Dean, Professor Sudirman Hassans. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of our plenary sessions. After this, we will have a break and then continue with the panel session. However, before I close the sessions, I would like to gratitude my appreciation to Professor, our invited speaker, and also colleagues from the Yongsan University by saying Gamsamida. Hopefully I didn't, okay, thank you. Hopefully I pronounced it well. And also for Professor Dr. Abdurrahman Haki, Raden Haki. The name is quite similar for Indonesian name, actually. I hope we share similar root, Indonesian root, Professor. Thank you for your very informative and inspiring presentations. And let me say syukron kathiron and terima kasih banyak. And for Professor Aunul, thank you for joining us today. Thank you and terima kasih banyak, Professor Aunul.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have to end the session. Let me ask you forgiveness also, like Professor Park Ji-yoon said that hopefully, is there any inconveniences during my my position as being a moderator? Hopefully, we can meet for, in another sessions. And also, Professor Sudirman, I think it is also better for us to invite Professor Brunei Darussalam University to join us to have to initiate a bridging staff for another cooperation. So there will be nice if we have 3 Asian universities to work together.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, we will invite Professor Abdurrahman to discuss about MOU.
Okay. I would like also to thank for all the very active participants that I had to stop all the questions because we already have discussions for 3 hours, I think, more than 3 hours. So finally, I should say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you very much, Gamsahamnida, Professor. Sampai jumpa. Thank you,
Sampai
colleagues.
jumpa. Sampai jumpa.
I should ask permission to leave this room, and we go to the big out room later. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Ma'assalamah. Ila liqa.
Terima kasih, Profesor. Terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama Prof. Ji.
Thank you,
You're
Dean.
welcome.
감사합니다. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Jung Chul.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very much.
Alhamdulillah, sukses.